Okay, we're going to speak a little bit today in my comfy white chair in terms of why this is probably the number one thing that you would need to know, but don't currently know about fat loss, about getting in shape. And that is when it comes down to training intensity. People look at the data, they look at the MyFitnessPal, they look at calories, they look at macros, they look at supplementation, they try and be next level perfect on pretty much anything, but they get to the gym and they don't train with intent and they don't train with intensity. Now, training intensity is not about leaving the gym sweating. It's not about getting an ultimate burn after every set. It's not even about going to failure all the time. It is the correct intensity when is required. So intensity is, in terms of training, is the amount of load lifted, okay? A lot of people think intensity is down to heart rate, down to how much you sweat. It isn't. It's the load lifted within a session, how intense that session was. This is when we're talking about strength training, okay? It's not when we're talking about high rocks or cardio or stuff like that. Volume is dictated as essentially what people think of as like getting the burn. Volume is how much work you do within a session. So volume is the calculation of sets versus reps versus load. That is the total volume of your session. Intensity is how hard you work within each rep and within each set, okay? So training intensity is probably something that people lack. You hear a lot of people talk, and it's very much been apparent in the last 2 to 5 years when people start saying about, you don't need to achieve failure. You can work to 80% of your max and still achieve results. You can, but just remember that percentage diminishes every 6 months or every year you get better at training. Someone who's been lifting for 5 years does not have that 20% differential. That just train to an RPE of 8 all the time and you will progress if you are following a standard progressive overload model. It doesn't happen like that. We have to really hit the boundaries, okay? We have to reach outside of the box and we have to mitigate any kind of nonsense and really focus on what is necessary to be done and what work needs to be done. If you are someone with less than a year's experience, if you are someone that is getting back to training after a long break, you can fucking do whatever you want in the gym as long as you are following some kind of structure, and you will progress in some manner. If you are in a calorie deficit, if you're eating less calories than you burn through the day, you will lose fat and you will most likely increase tonality, increase strength, and potentially increase in lean muscle. The more experience you get, the less you'll be able to get away with, okay? And the more acute you will have to train and be clinical with your nutrition, supplementation, and recovery protocols and sleep and all those kind of things to progress. Okay, so less than a year's experience. Yes, you want to have structure. Yes, you want to train with good intent. You want to train with form. You want to eat in a surplus, maintenance, deficit, whatever you are training for. Remember, calories are what dictates your body weight, and macronutrients are essentially what dictates your body composition. To a degree, you are never going to lose body fat. You're never going to lose weight if you are not eating less calories, if you're not in a calorie deficit, and you are not going to gain or optimize your growth if you are not at least at maintenance consistently or in a slight calorie surplus. We're talking like 2 to 3%. That is all that is required. Anything more than that, and you will just progressively add body fat. You'll feel less motivated to hit the gym. You'll probably train with less training intensity because you won't like the way you look. And yeah, it's a negative. There's no need to put on a lot of body fat when you are going into an off season or going into a structural phase. Just laziness. Laziness in tracking, laziness in consistency. But training intensity, let's get back to that. That is what a number one rule. If you are training anything, if you're training twice a week, if you're training 5 times a week, if you're training 4 times a week, intensity matters. You don't have to go to failure on every set of every exercise. However, use it as the rule of thumb. 25 to 30% of your total workout, your total volume. So say, for example, you were doing 20 sets in that workout. 5 to 7 of those sets need to be taken to absolute muscular failure. Okay? Now, it doesn't mean you take the whole 20, but 5 to 7 of those 20 sets, you want to be taken to muscular failure. Now, how does that equate if you're doing, for example, 5 exercises in that session? That means that the last set of every exercise you take to absolute muscular failure. The ones preceding, you will start around about a 7 or an 8 RPE and finish, progressively increase, and your last set will be a 10 RPE. What does 10 RPE mean? It means if someone is there holding a gun to your head, you cannot get another rep out. That is what failure means. It doesn't mean when you're burning. It doesn't mean when it starts to feel uncomfortable. That's normally like a 7 or an 8 RPE. 10 RPE is, I physically cannot lift this weight without a spot, okay? That is where you need to be. So just remember, training intensity matters. Get it done, get it sorted, and make sure it's progressive. Anyway, make sure you ask me any questions in the comments. Make sure you follow me on socials, Coach Tom Brazier Official, and TB Conditioning for my female body recomposition and total body confidence and total body design method. Make sure you join my Instagram, Coach Tom Brazier, and follow my guys under their Brotherhood Creed 100-day shift. Make sure you follow me on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe right here. Click that button. But for now, I'm going to leave you. You're welcome.